So there's been a bit of a firestorm in Washington, D.C. over, goes a while back when Nancy Pelosi was asked, hey, should you guys really be able to trade stocks in Congress? Because we have this new report that just came out. There's one from Business Insider, then one from Unusual Whales. And both the reports were like, so many of these, over 100 of these people in Congress are beating the market and trading stocks on a regular basis. And, look, this is insider trading. This is corrupt. This is bad. And they're already in violation of the Stock Act, which is you have to at least disclose what you're doing. And a lot of them are not even disclosing what they're doing, but even the ones who are disclosing are just showing how they're cheating, basically. So Nancy Pelosi swatted this aside and was like, it's the free market. We should be able to participate in it. Oh, God. Well, then John Ossoff came out and he was like, no. Here's a bill that I'm proposing to ban not only Congress people from trading stocks, but also their close dependents. I think it's, significant others and family members, kids, so on and so forth. And also Josh Hawley proposed a bill on this as well. Josh Hawley's bill, I think it doesn't have as much teeth in it as Ossoff's bill does, but Hawley proposed a bill on it as well. And so now you have some momentum behind this idea of, look, this is absurd. This should already be illegal. Let's do something on it. Well, Dan Crenshaw was on a podcast here. I'm about to play it for you. And he was asked this question about people in Congress trading stocks. And his response is something else.
There is one topic that I definitely want to get straight from the horse's mouth on this one. It wasn't very long ago that Nancy Pelosi was asked a question in regards to can sitting members of Congress, or should they be allowed to have direct involvement in the trading in the stock market and things such as that. And she said, yes, it's a capitalist society. She supports that. And there was an article that was just published about yourself. I'm pretty sure you're probably aware of this. It basically talked about, I'd seen some Turning Point people posting about this and said, this is coming from Texas Signal saying Dan Crenshaw's stock trading yielded the 5th highest return in Congress, basically pointing out that your campaign had received a donation from Boeing. They had lobbied, things such as that. Where do you stand on the twofold question? Do you believe that sitting members of Congress should be allowed to trade in the stock market, even though you kind of have direct insight and somewhat control over how that flow goes and which government-favored corporations? You get where I'm going. Let's start with that one first. Where do you stand on that?
I think it'd be fine if you wanted to ban individual stock trading. Notice I said individual stocks.
Right.
What of course,
as opposed to what?
As opposed to ETFs, indexes. I'm kind of neutral on it. If you want only millionaires and billionaires to run for Congress, then keep making sure that we can't raise our pay, that we can't get a housing stipend, that we have to just spend or pay rent in 2 different places. That's fine. If you want to, if that's what you want to support, but just keep in mind that no one will run for Congress because you have no way to better yourself.
You have no way to better yourself. That's not the point of you becoming a public servant. The point is for you to serve the public. It's kind of in the title. If you want to, quote unquote, better yourself financially, there's a million things you can do, and you could go down those paths. You can actively choose to go down those paths. You can't choose to be a public servant, and then you get in there and say, well, I'm here to better myself. I want to better myself. Specifically, financially, in the context of what he's talking about. And by the way, look, let's look up. I don't know the number off the top of my head. I have a rough idea of what it is, 200-something thousand. How much does a congressperson make? Let's see. 174,000. Senators and House of Representatives. You're not going to be okay on that, dog? Now listen, I'll be extra kind and extra fair, and this is a point I've made before on the show. Some of you may disagree with it, but honestly, I think it's the most reasonable approach in order to ensure you're going to have less corruption and not the incentive there to trade stocks and whatnot. I'd have no problem increasing their official salary, giving them, a stipend for paying for their second residence, right? Because they do have to be in D.C. as well as live wherever they live at home, whichever state that may be. I would have no problem increasing that salary if we get a complete and total ban on not just all individual stock trading, but also all indexes and stuff like he laid out there. So in other words, like you give your money over to some group and the group makes the decisions for you what to invest in. You don't even know what they're investing in. You just see what the returns are, so on and so forth. No, I will all stuff like that, totally banned. Because if you're a public servant, you should be there to serve the public. And obviously this creates a massive conflict of interest where, and we don't even need to speculate. We've seen it happen. We've seen politicians not represent the people and only represent either their own financial interests or their campaign donors. Now, campaign donations is a totally separate problem and is an equally big problem, if not a bigger problem, probably is a bigger problem, where, I mean, we should have publicly financed elections or clean elections as they're called, because then you're much more incentivized to work for the people than you are to work for your donors. That's a whole nother problem. But this is the bare minimum, man. Look, I'll make it 174, gone. I'll make it $250,000 a year. Each congressperson and senator gets $250,000 a year. And I'll throw in the housing stipend, but now we ban all types of stock trading. He makes it seem like, well, why would I go to Congress if I couldn't get massively rich? The fact that that was the way you were thinking is a problem with you, and it shows that you're not really committed to this thing. I mean, think about it. If you're going to go to Congress and you're doing it for the right reasons, why would you be going there? Think about it. The whole point of you going there is not so you can get wealthy. The whole point of you going there is to solve problems for the country and improve everybody else's life. So give people universal health care, give people higher wages, try to end the wars and things of that nature, improve our infrastructure. That's what you'd be thinking about first and foremost. That'd be the whole point. But he makes it, well, of course we want to better ourselves financially. Duh. Go to Wall Street. Go to Wall Street. Go to any other place that's the point of those areas. And of course, they should be regulated and taxed highly, etc. as well. But at least go into a field that's supposed to be for that. Dude, don't go be a public servant and then whine that you got to serve the public because you want to serve yourself and you try to get ahead or whatever, better yourself. It just shows you complete mindset difference from somebody who's there for the right reasons. Because he's admitting, hey, this is what's going on in my head. This is what I'm thinking about. Well, that's a problem, isn't it? Because how can anybody trust you that you're looking out for them? Because you're not looking out for them. And we've had a number of examples. Okay. Tom Price, former head of Health and Human Services under Donald Trump. He was a congressperson. I believe there was a medical device company that he invested in heavily. And then as head of Health and Human Services, he made moves to massively increase the stock price of the medical device company that he was invested in. That's self-dealing. That's corruption. That shouldn't be allowed. You have the very famous meeting with Kelly Loeffler and Perdue and like Dianne Feinstein. You had all these powerful politicians meet just before the crash because of COVID, and they were told in no uncertain terms, hey dog, the market's about to tank skis, so you do with that information whatever you want. And what did all of them do? They all went and cashed in and made sure they weren't there for the downfall so that they profited off of insider knowledge. So, I mean, this is all a problem. They shouldn't even be investing in the first place. They shouldn't even have money in the stock market in the first place. You have the classic example of Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi, there was a debate going on about antitrust, so like anti-monopoly measures that were going to be taken. Nancy Pelosi, of course, learned firsthand and was probably directly involved in making the measures toothless. So Nancy Pelosi goes and tells her husband, hey dog, this antitrust stuff ain't happening. It's going to be toothless, so you should invest now in Google. And then when everybody learns, hey, the measures are toothless, the stock price is going to go up, and then you're going to make a lot of money off of it. And that's exactly what happened. She told her husband invested, they made a lot of money off of it. Why is it they always beat the market? They always beat the market because they're insider trading and they're cheating. That's why they always beat the market. They shouldn't even be allowed to invest. Even the people who are investing and are doing it ethically, where they're not acting off inside information, however few of them there are in Congress, and I'm sure there's a couple, even they shouldn't be doing that. We function as an oligarchy and a kleptocracy, and they're all part of the club, and everybody gets screwed in the process, and that's why you often see their approval rating is between 7% and 25%, because everybody knows they're full of shit. And here's Dan Crenshaw, now that he's inside the club, he doesn't even realize how stupid he sounds and how self-serving he sounds. Well, we do, and we're on to you. And so this guy can't go a day without shoving his foot in his mouth. He's currently in a fight with like Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, and he's trying to act like, I'm the true conservative and the true heir apparent to Trump, and like nobody likes you. Those people are really dumb, but they're also more authentic. This guy, Dan Crenshaw, is just totally uncharismatic and unlikable. He votes basically the same way that they vote. You know, whoever votes 92% with Trump or 98% with Trump or whatever, they vote the same way. The difference is this guy has no charisma. He's not likable. And he desperately wants to be adored by at least the right-wing base. And so everything he does is to try to get their adoration, and they just don't like him because he took some shots at Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, who are bigger stars among the right-wing base. He wants that media attention. He wants it. But he can't get it in a positive way because he's a dunce, and he says stuff like this. So there you have it. Dan Crenshaw, just leave Congress. Just leave, because clearly you don't belong there. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.